Have you ever wondered where the water you pour down the drain goes? Is my dirty water just getting poured into our oceans? Or is it flushed and then gotten rid of, no harm, no foul? These are valid concerns, and all of these questions have answers, and they will all be answered by the end of this video. My name is Braden.
I'm Serenity.
And I'm Carlos.
And in this video, we will explain where our wastewater goes and how it's treated.
To start off, no, we don't contaminate the oceans with our dirty water, and we owe it all to our wastewater treatment plants. These plants are designed to make sure the water we use to cook, clean, wash, and drink ends up safe and sanitary. But how? We wondered this too, so we took a tour to the Central Wastewater Treatment Plant. Central is the oldest plant in our state at 100 years old. It treats 350 million gallons of water every day. It has a small turtle habitat for any caught up in the bringing in of wastewater, and the plant has no days off.
Now that you are a little familiar with Central, we can begin to explain how it treats our wastewater.
The first step to treating wastewater is to filter out all the large particles that could be a hassle for other methods to deal with. This could be objects like baby wipes, towels, rags, hygiene products, or anything that people might flush or pour down the drain that will not dissolve. To filter these objects out, the plant uses bar filters, rushing water through a fence of metal bars that catches any large objects while still allowing plenty of water flow. Next, to filter out the smaller particles, a grit chamber is used that, much like a centrifuge, will separate the liquid water from any heavy particles, letting the water spill over the edges while the dirt falls to the bottom.
The next step in cleaning the water is to let the water sit in these clarifier pools. When the water sits for long enough, scum and sludge will begin to build up that can be cleaned out easier than if they were left dissolved in the water. Scum floats and is usually categorized as grease while sludge sinks. The sludge and scum that is taken out of the water can be used as fuel at other plants. Central Wastewater Treatment collects and sends all of their sludge to the south side by truckload. By taking out the sludge and scum, we are removing a lot of organic and inorganic matter that makes the water cleaner.
Next in the cleaning process are trickle filters. Trickle filters are a unique filter only implemented in very few wastewater treatment plants, such as Central Wastewater. Trickle filters use no electricity or fuel of any kind. They just run on their own using the force of gravity and the force from the water as jets propel them. They work by slowly trickling the water down the deep layers of rocks, most of which have algae and microorganisms that eat the oxygen, which makes the water less habitable due to less oxygen or a lower BOD.
After the trickling filter is the aeration basin. In the aeration basin, there are single-celled organisms, or bugs, that consume some of the wastewater in the form of BOD. The best type of bug in the basin is the rotifier bug, because it eats a good amount of BOD and creates good sludge. In the basin, it is very important that there's an equal concentration of bugs and BOD so that the bugs don't end up eating each other. After this process, the BOD in the water will have decreased significantly, meaning a much cleaner water.
After going through the aeration basin, the water will go through a secondary clarifier much like the sludge blankets. A very slow wheel turns, forcing the water to move and collecting any scum that may appear. This will then allow water to trickle off the edge without any of the scum. At this point, the water is so clean you will often see life living in the pools. This includes different plants, algae, and even ducks that will come by for a swim.
After the water goes through the secondary clarifier, we reach the final steps, which is to introduce chemicals to treat any bacteria or organisms in the water we don't want. The chemicals added are chlorine and phosphorus, two very strong chemicals that break down over 99.9% of organisms and bacteria in the water. However, we cannot just leave these chemicals in the water. This water is supposed to be released into the river after all, and the water needs to be habitable by then. So after saturating the water, we then run it through another chemical, which removes the chlorine and phosphorus, because this chemical is an activated charcoal and sulfur dioxide filter, or a monofilter. This leaves the water purified and safe for aquatic life, and finally it can be released into the river.
Other buildings at Central Wastewater do more than just clean the water. One example is the labs at the wastewater treatment plant, one of which is run by Mrs. Jody Whitcomb. This type of lab, known as a contract lab, is given water samples from many different sources across Dallas and tests them to ensure their quality. Different tests they run include measuring the pH of the water, the turbidity, or how clear the water is, and how many dangerous chemicals may be in the water. They use a variety of different tools and technologies to assist them in their testing to ensure that all of our water comes out clean.